would you guys go ahead and give me a quick review of what happened last session?
Last session. Let's see. Andy and Frankie were out walking in the woods. Andy was looking for a place to sort of alterize, to dispose of jewelry that she had that was starting to give her a rash, or him a rash.
All pronouns,
And
you're good.
What'd you say, Jeff?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I was just saying all pronouns are fine for Andy. You're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
We discovered the circle of stumps and Red Jack, who was sitting there sounding all groany and grumpy and unhappy. And so Frankie was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he beckoned us toward him with a finger. And so Frankie walks forward, going, "Do you need help? Should we call somebody?" Because she doesn't know any better. And Frankie grabbed her to try and stop her because she was like, no. Frankie's opinion was, or Andy's opinion was, that this was not a safe individual to be walking up to.
I can't imagine why. He seems like a really jolly fellow.
Yes. Red Jack got angry when Andy's handful of jewelry suddenly bounced toward him on the ground. So he snarled, and Frankie's going, "Are you hurt?" as he lunges forward, and Colin came sliding in as if to home base in a baseball game, looking up at Red Jack and going, "You're not Greg Johnson." So let's see. Frankie attacked Red Jack, who had also been bitten by Cowlin. And as he continued to punch Cowlin in the head and basically shake off Frankie's attacks because they were pretty ineffectual, Andy threw the jewelry at Red Jack, and Red Jack turned around and disappeared into the fog. Frankie made the promise to Andy to keep on the ring that was given to her, helped take care of the burns on Andy's hands, and asked, "Do all boys turn into dogs?"
Yeah, right. When they turn into teens, yeah, they do.
Yeah, kind of. Maybe not furry ones with fangs, but yeah, more or less. And that's pretty much what I've got.
And while all that was happening, we had a peeping Tom.
Yeah, Cordelia was just spying on everybody.
Right.
Yes.
Peering in on us magically.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And as I recall, we one of the last scenes that we left on was actually Cordelia sitting down to do some research into Craig Johnson to figure out what was going on. After having witnessed, the transformation for Colin into a werewolf is a fairly dramatic one. But Cordelia already being familiar with Frankie's status as a hollow, and then there were just enough clues about Andy's face status for you to pick up on. So right now, everybody is Cordelia is the one with the other characters aren't necessarily in the know about, but they kind of have a clue about each other. So when we last left off, then Cordelia was doing some research onto Craig Johnson, and I'll give you some just basic information that you would have found.
Sorry.
Hi, Evie.
Go eat all the candy. Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
Sorry, you were gonna give me some information?
yeah. So just we left off on with Cordelia being in the position where, mechanically speaking, you could ask a question and I would give you an honest answer to it to the best of my ability. And it was kind of up in the air what that question would be. So I'm going to throw some basic information down, and if there's anything in particular that you want to follow up on, or other avenues of information that you want to pursue, then you can jump in with that at any point. The basic stuff that you'd be able to find between the online information, the Craig Johnson's profile on the Morningstar, employees and managers, mixed with your family's documentation. The gist of it is that Craig Johnson is unto himself not the most noteworthy of individuals. He's something of a middleman, middle management. He oversees certain projects, and he is high up enough that he is trusted with unconventional tasks. But he himself is more or less on the metaphysical level as well as on the bureaucratic level. He is a cog in the machine. You will also know that he has worked the Morningstars for a couple of decades now. But between your family records and cross-referencing things online, there's nothing too weird that jumps out. The other thing that you'd find is, I mentioned that he's a middleman for projects, and one of the projects that is under his portfolio right now is the construction of the new high school. And so that's the thing that was one of the topics that was being discussed at the dinner that Cindy left and died shortly after. The other thing to note, that Colin has been doing research on people going missing in association with Craig Johnson. The common theme is they're all people who have had some sort of work dealing with the construction of the new high school. And Craig Johnson, being the manager of that project, is the person that has the most connections with, the various contractors.
I really hope it's in Hellmouth.
What was that?
What?
Fingers crossed it's a Hellmouth.
Hell no. What the?
Oh no,
Buffy.
Buffy.
Are we
I still,
saying
I'm not hearing what.
Olivia? Has Olivia never seen Buffy?
She's never seen
I've
anything.
never seen. I watched Star Wars on New Year's Eve
For the first time.
for the first time.
A New Hope.
Yeah, but
Christmas.
I mean,
Oh,
Buffy.
New Year's Eve.
I was about to say,
Wow.
Yep.
but I didn't see Buffy until like 6 years ago either, so
There you go.
I was also late to that.
I've seen enough for the both of us. So, She never
I
wants to
spent
do it.
so much of my
But-
life watching television.
Although, that being said, I am always happy to rewatch all of Buffy and Angel.
Mm.
It's only like 11
Same.
seasons that you'd have to go through to
Sure.
get both of them, but whatevs.
Yeah.
I've got them all on DVD, and the DVDs are interspersed into each other so that you can continue to watch them in the right sequence.
Mm.
That's
Dedication.
awesome. That makes me-
Beautiful.
I have to confess, I've seen bits and pieces of Buffy, enough to follow some of the major story arcs, but I have never sat and watched it straight through.
Oh, that's a shame. It's a damn shame, sir.
Yes.
It's a commitment though, so I can see, if you're not.
Yeah. When you're busy creating art, it's kind of time consuming to sit and just watch somebody else's for long periods of time.
But for notable media, it is worth it.
Oh, yeah. There were some amazing episodes of Buffy.
Mhm.
Back to our
Yes.
show.
So Cordelia, that's the basic gist that you'll be able to find just for free.
Okay.
If you have a specific question, you can throw that in, and I'll answer. Do you have anything that you're thinking of?
Does Cordelia already know from just like conversations with her family and stuff? Does she already know that the Morning Stars are also witches?
Yeah,
She already knows.
yeah.
Okay.
I would imagine that's part of why Grandma's so focused on making sure you're so powerful, so that someday you can put the Morning Stars back down where they belong.
Yeah. Like,
At some point early in the town's history, perhaps even going as far back as when the town was actually in hard luck, the abandoned town in the woods.
Mhm.
The Goods and the Morning Stars were both clans that were active in or around the town, and so during the various hardcore history lessons
mhm.
that Cordelia would have been exposed to about the region, the Morning Stars would have been a part of that. The details about what caused the schism between the Morning Stars and the Goods is a lot more vague. It's one of those things where you don't know how much of it is reliable because it is the Goods that recorded it, and
Right.
they were also scant enough in the recordings of it that it's a little sketch. But
Mm.
either way, the Goods and the Morning Stars have been not on the best of terms for at least 100 years, with the Morning Stars largely leaving town and only recently trying to work their way back in.
Mm. Okay.
In fact, a big part of the business dinner that kicked off everything was the Morning Stars using their business to create economic and financial leverage to open up new production plant in the southern part of Locksdale, with
Mm.
the funding the high school being a kind of a goodwill gesture to the community to help cement the business deal in the new industry sector.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
and so also with that in mind, your grandmother would have very strong opinions about the business dealings that are leading up to this. And I imagine that she is not entirely timid about sharing those opinions.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm good.
All right. And so Like anytime that you kind of want more follow up on any of that, just let me know. You still have an open question that you can tap into.
Okay.
So with that, I'm going to jump into like that last scene was you gazing into the abyss and kind of
Right.
using the archetype of the doing the cross-referencing the family documents with the online documents to kind of get this emergent picture of who Greg Johnson is and what the Morning Stars are up to in Locksvale.
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to go ahead and jump to a cutscene since kind of thematically jumping off. Since Craig Johnson has become a thing, I want the camera to follow him just a little bit longer, or to jump to him rather.
Mhm.
And so I want you all to imagine a uh, an office, um, upper management. It is the kind of uh, room that I mean, in Locksville, it's the buildings aren't all that tall, so you're like third or fourth story. Um,
Mhm.
but the corner office windows, um, the walls are lined with bookcases that have various just very dry technical books on them, you know, including a fair amount of local legal codes and then various like documentation on production during different years and so on and so forth. And there's also a section of it that is surprisingly well equipped with local history. Um, the desk is a like it is an old desk. It is probably the wood that this desk was made out of is probably older than Locksvale proper. This desk goes back to Hard Luck, or
Well,
during that period. Much like the family of the man who owns the desk. Duke Ward is sitting in a comfy executive's chair behind the desk and kind of playing, not playing, but kind of toying with a pin that it's it's kind of ornate. It's the kind of pin that you're given as a prestigious gift, where it's more meant to function as the prestige rather than as an actual pin. It's gone dry, like God knows how long. But he's still toying with it a little bit. Um, Not far from that, there is a coffee cup. And I'm not sure what the coffee cup says. Does anybody want to throw in a cute saying that this fellow has on his coffee cup?
Just world's greatest,
World's greatest.
and that's it. Nothing else.
Yes.
Nice. So and it's filled with coffee that's gone cold. Across the
Yeah,
desk,
I'm sorry. This is whose desk is this again?
Duke Ward.
Duke Ward. Okay.
Yep, the brother of the mayor of Locksvale and one of the corporate leaders here in town. His family goes back to the oldest logging companies in the area. Um, and so the camera watches him as he uh, somewhat coyly plays with this prestigious pen. Um, and then the camera pans across the coffee cup filled with the lukewarm coffee that just says "World's Greatest" on it. And the camera goes back up and sees Duke kind of have a little bit of a smile on his face as we jump to the person that he is visiting with, who in this case is Craig. Craig Johnson. So Duke, with this kind of coy smile on his face, looks to Craig and says, "So what did the red asshole in the woods have to say about it all?" To which Craig turns and says, "He said that he wasn't responsible for the deaths and said that the only thing that would make them stop is when the god of death looks forward instead of behind. I've been working for the Morning Stars for 2 decades and I've seen some crazy shit, but this town is something else." To which Duke kind of gives a chuckle under his breath and pauses, thinks about it, takes a drink of his coffee, and looks back at his Craig. Craig looks like he saw a ghost the night before. He is still somewhat shaken by the ordeal of his own visit into the woods the night before your guys' visit. And so then Duke kind of leans in, and the camera kind of captures the creaking sound of the chair as the springs go forward, and says, "You don't know the half of it. Why don't you come over to my place tonight, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, in more detail over dinner, where we can't be overheard." And at that point, the scene cuts to black. And the next thing that we see is Cordelia, having been doing the research and gazing into the abyss, has unexpectedly found herself going into a trance where she has been doing that automatic writing. And as Cordelia comes out of the trance, what she looks down at the paper is a description of the scene that I just described.
Okay.
I
So
like the idea that on that piece of paper is written the words "cold coffee."
yes. So Cordelia, what's your dark score?
Dark.
2, right?
2.
Okay. So
Yeah, dark.
on the die for dark rolls, the die is 8 plus 2 is 10. So pretty much everything that I just described is information that Cordelia has access to in her notes.
Okay, cool.
Easier.
Salud. May you live to expel many more demons.
Okay. So with that in play, we are still kind of in this zone between the initial scene with Cindy's death and jump forward to deeper into that winter, like the very beginning of the new year. I think we said like February, January, somewhere in there, is kind of where we're at right now. So let's kind of stick in that timeline for just a little bit longer, with you guys having just met up in the woods and doing this investigation into Craig Johnson. When we last saw the Andy, Frankie, and Colin, you guys were at school and had kind of convened to share notes over what had happened. So I'll let you guys pick it up. What kind of things are you up to?
As I recall, the last thing was Frankie had asked, "Did you find him?" And I think Colin had said, "No, I still have not found Craig Johnson," which was not at all who Frankie had meant.
Cool. It sounds like it was the end of that scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was where we had cut.
Unless Cordelia came up and revealed her presence and her knowledge at that moment.
I thought you said he wasn't Craig Johnson.
Who are you talking to in that moment?
You.
Me.
You.
Who wasn't Craig Johnson?
The guy in the woods.
Red Jack.
Like the one we found or the one we didn't find?
The one we did find. You
Oh,
went chasing after him.
yeah, the one we did find. Yeah, that was somebody else.
But did you find him?
I wasn't intending to find him. Look,
Oh.
look, when you look for your keys and you stumble upon your sock, you didn't like suddenly find your sock. You didn't find your keys. I'm still looking for Craig Johnson. That guy was entirely unrelated.
Oh God, the 12-foot tall eldritch god in the woods, totally irrelevant.
Right, absolutely. Look, I only really interacted with him to save you people. You're welcome.
Okay, so
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way.
yeah. So how do Andy and Frankie feel about? On the one hand, you were saved from what seemed to be a very precarious situation. On the other hand, the person that saved you, who seems to be completely cordial to you at this point, is took the form of a feral wolf with quite a dramatic transformation. I assume that
Quite literally a monster.
right. I assume that there's at least a little bit of processing. Maybe not Frankie. Maybe Frankie takes it completely in stride. But
Yeah, Frankie's still going with the, what is it that makes boys turn into a wolf, and how can I make sure I avoid having that happen to me?
Oh,
Thought process going on there.
you really don't want was it Marty?
Yeah,
You really don't want Marty to do that. That'd be really awkward.
that could be that could cause some weird issues.
Yeah. So Frankie, I presume, has this kind of uh, um, innocent obliviousness to the weirdness of this.
Yeah.
And I'm under the impression that Cowlin has a determined focus that rather equates to something of obliviousness about it as well. Which takes us to Andy. I think Andy has some processing to do. How does Andy feel? Andy has been kind of out of sorts and increasingly distant from the realms of man as of late. But
yeah,
still,
Andy's kind of clued back into the realms of men, because apparently the realms of men involve men extra.
Well, that's what happens when Mordor invades.
Right.
so how does this?
Opposite. Now he's back, and wouldn't you know it? Fucking red jacks everywhere.
Yeah.
So how does this traumatically retuned and refocused, how does that play out at this high school scene? This is the first time that you have seen Cowlin since the transformation. How does that feel for Andy?
It's a little like it's a bit of a head trip, or mind fuck or whatever. He really curious, but he's also, an awkward teenager, so they're not really sure how to channel that curiosity or beyond the obvious thing where dude is apparently digging into some business interests that have recently become more interesting to Andy with the parents thing.
So is Andy just like actively avoiding any reference to the whole "you're literally a monster" topic?
Not entirely, but yeah, they're a little skittish. Like, they're mostly just like, so thanks for saving our asses. That was real impressive. Not gonna list specifics of what we're thankful for.
Well, just make sure you keep it a secret. I don't want anybody else around here knowing what we are.
Right.
And since this particular scene is taking place in the high school, the last few times that we've seen Cordelia, she has been at home doing research and going into trances. But I presume that you're around for this convening of folks, Cordelia.
So Cordelia is, where are they at right now? They're in the high school, but like where at in the high school?
I'm kind of picturing this being kind of a conversation by the locker, by a wall of lockers. Probably, let's say, either beginning of school or lunch period.
So I would say Cordelia is watching this, but from a little ways back. Right. I mean, I guess that's just what she kind of does, is just like secretly watches.
No kink shaming, it's fine.
That's what she's into. So whenever this group of three like breaks up and starts to go their own way, Cordelia is gonna kind of call out to Colin a little bit, like kind of come up behind him and say, hey Cujo, we need to talk.
Cujo. Oh,
Oh,
wow.
And then tell him to get his friends together, because I think there's some stuff that we need to discuss that is going to pertain to all of them.
We were literally right there all together 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, but this isn't a discussion you want to have in this
Private.
way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and speaking of private, maybe not the Cujo remark. I mean, wait, people are watching now. Look, All right. Yeah, sure.
Right, and
How are you doing, I guess?
as Cordelia says, you know, as emphasizing, you know, like get everybody together, and you know, the Colin has this response. We were literally just all together. Like, no, somewhere we can talk privately. At that moment, Abby walks by and just staggers with her eyes, and then keeps walking.
Yeah. Poor Abby.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so where's the private meeting that you guys are going to be arranging?
Under the bleachers, of course.
Obviously.
Obviously. Do they even have those still? Is that just me thinking of? Fuck no! I never went under the bleachers in high school. That was just All right.
Well, you realize
Old
I'm
I'm so
ambivalent.
sorry, man. I really am. So sorry.
There's still bleachers. Bleachers are there.
Right,
Like,
but if you wanted privacy, it was like popping open the auditorium or going to
Right.
yeah.
or
Or if there's the fire exit, they go to the roof.
There you go. Very
Okay.
Japanese.
There's that one stairwell that nobody likes to use because somebody hanged themselves in it once or something.
Jesus, let's start.
Well, we don't have any ghosts, so I'm not sure if that'll work.
I mean, we might. We don't know.
we don't have any ghosts in the party.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't mean there are no ghosts in the school.
Sure. Okay, so I'll put it. My two favorite of the suggestions so far are the stairwell that nobody goes because somebody hung themselves in it, and the roof.
Which somebody probably jumped off of at some point. You know?
Yeah.
Or was pushed off of. Nobody knows for sure.
Right. So which direction are you guys feeling?
I mean, it's up either way, right?
Let's go to the roof.
Okay. All right, very good. It's the of the two options, the roof provides more up. It's a lot easier to have somebody like thrown off the roof or jump off the roof later on than the you know have another hanging. The hanging would just require too much background information. Okay, so the roof. This is an old building. I imagine that at some point there was an alarm built in, but that there have been various poorly done repairs and maintenance that has been overlooked. And so it is a commonly understood thing that the alarm does not actually trip. And so the roof has become kind of a not a well-known secret, but you know, it is the place where for the teenagers that want to sneak away and get a smoke between classes, or you know, like that, those kinds of shenanigans. It is the place to go. Um, so, yeah,
Speaking
and
of smoke, Cordelia definitely has a joint.
excellent. And remember, this is winter, so when you guys go out there, you'll want to bundle up. It is like there's going to be as much as the forest, as much as the woods were uncharacteristically warm. Out here, there's going to be a stiff, bitter breeze.
Especially on a rooftop.
Right. And you guys are actually just a little bit south of the primary river that runs through there. So when that breeze comes in from the north, it's coming right over a huge body of water. So it has that extra bite of of moisture to it.
Sure.
And anytime you breathe out, they're just puffs of so
Frozen breath.
yes. So yeah. I
Remember, never lick anything metal.
yes. Is this meeting happening after school?
Over lunch.
Over lunch? Okay. So let's say that the first meeting or the first gathering happened like before homeroom, like beginning of class or beginning of school. And so lunch is going to roll around. The rest of the intervening classes are going to be fairly nondescript. Aside from the awareness in the back of everybody's heads of the creepy events, because your first encounter with an eldritch god of the woods is not something that you're going to ignore. It's going to be there in the back of your head for a while. So lunch rolls around, and you guys are going to be able to sneak off to the roof, and particularly because of the winter, it's going to be like on really nice weather days, the roof has you're never quite sure if you're going to be alone up there, but today with that stiff northern wind, yeah, you guys have the space all to yourselves.
Quick question: am I all healed up from the fight?
What's up?
Am I healed up from the fight? I had taken 2 out of 4 damage.
Sure. I will let you mark off one of those,
All right, 3.
but you still have 1 wound.
Cool.
So I'll let you decide how that manifests itself. You might be bruised. You might just be a little bit slower on your feet.
It will be that I'll complain. That's what it's gonna be.
What was that?
I said it'll be that Colin complains about it. That you'll see.
Physically, everything's fine. He's just gonna complain rather
Right.
conspicuously.
Like, ah, it still hurts. The camera's not gonna see the wound. He's just gonna, act.
Sure. So it's your guys' scene. You've defined it. Tell me how this plays out. What you guys doing?
I'm standing out there when the others get there.
Okay. So Andy, Frankie, and Cordelia, how do you guys enter the scene?
I assume that Callan is the one who came and told us to come and meet up on the roof.
Yeah.
At lunch.
I texted you like a normal teenager.
Right. Good point.
Yes, we are at a point where rapid communication via text is totally an option.
And preferable to paying attention in class. So.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna say Andy's also gonna pull out a joint and a lighter and ask Cordelia if she wants some of his absent mom funded good weed.
Oh, he's got the good weed? Okay, yeah. Sure. She'll put hers back in her pocket and
Like he's kind of recognized that she's kind of been the odd person out, but was the person who had like information or whatever. So
Right.
there's a certain amount of like bridge building.
Sure. That makes sense.
There's never any downsides to accepting the hospitality or gifts from a fae.
Nope, never.
Oh, wait.
Too late
Too
now.
late. I smoked it. Damn it.
It was really good weed though.
It's worth it.
Wow. Okay, so the good weed is being passed around. Actually, I'm curious, Frankie. Does Frankie partake in the weed?
Yeah, she just
Okay.
kind of. I mean, Andy's doing it, so okay, yeah, I'll try this.
Sure.
Probably has done that on more than one occasion. Doesn't particularly care for it necessarily, but wants to fit in. So
Right, there's going along to get along.
yeah.
Okay. And how is Colin on this?
Potheads are done. Maybe we could get to the point of the meeting. What do you got, Cass?
Nice. Okay, so how does this play out? Colin has, as everybody is passing the joint around, Colin has called the meeting into session.
So Cordelia is just gonna say, I know what happened the other night. I know you guys got yourselves in way over your head. I don't think that you quite understand what you're dealing with.
Whatever, I kicked his ass. I took the
That's
field.
debatable.
He's the one who ran away. Yeah. What up?
Andy's slight like seed of hero worship from the rescue is thoroughly dead.
Meanwhile, Frankie's over here kind of like, oh, that night. Oh. That makes a lot more sense now.
So, Cordelia's just gonna say to Colin, look, if you want to just kill yourself chasing after things that you don't understand, go ahead. But I think that you need to know what's going on here.
With Craig Johnson? Because that's the only one I'm chasing. All right? Just to be clear here, I know it was a little confusing earlier with, what's not Andy?
Frankie.
Frankie. With Frankie, I was not actually looking for the red dude. I was looking for Craig Johnson. I stumbled upon those two being attacked by a giant crazy red dude, and I acted. That's and then I left, and I couldn't find Craig. So, what information do you have then? Don't worry, I'm not gonna go into the woods looking for any more big red guys.
Sure.
Not my plan.
Just chasing after middle management.
Look, chasing after motherfucker keeps disappearing, folks. That's what I'm doing.
So, I mean, I think I just want Cordelia to just let them know what she knows. Like, I can just let them know what I found out in my research, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So you all now have, your characters all now have access to the both the cutscene as well as any information that Cordelia, do you flat out like are Andy and Frankie's identity still, like on the down low, or is everybody like out?
No, I mean, Cordelia is gonna let him know she knows about all of them.
Okay.
Andy's gonna be a little bit taken aback because Andy doesn't entirely fully understand what they are yet.
Oh,
So you're gonna out everybody to each other?
Yeah, let's hear it. How do you say it?
Yeah, you need to actually play that one through.
Okay. So
'Cause-
just so we're all on the same page here. Colin's a wolf boy.
Yeah, we know that.
Frankie's a wish.
What?
I don't know what the fuck you are, but I have an idea, and I think that
Something naturey. Very.
I think you've all obviously stepped into something, and at this point, there's no sense in us pretending anymore. We just need to figure out what the fuck is going on.
Speaking of which,
Fair enough.
Speaking of which,
putting it to you,
Right.
how did you come by that information?
Right. Were you in the woods the other night?
Look,
because I don't think even Andy was aware of that information about Frankie yet.
Nope.
Sure. Well,
You are now.
now you do. Now you know.
So,
And it doesn't matter how I got the information. What matters is that I have it.
Now you said you saw us, but you don't smell stealthy. You smell, I don't know, like you might have a cat somewhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
haven't
really a
figured out what's
secret
going on with
the
this
ghosts are
sudden
witches, right?
emergence of the family skin allergy quite yet. I kind of do think it's important how you know these things about me that I only barely know about myself.
is Cordelia low key wearing like a pentacle necklace at this point?
A what?
Like we mentioned that you weren't the like hot topic goth anymore, but that you were more low key. Are you wearing any overt, if small, witch paraphernalia?
Yeah, I would say definitely.
I'd say something about I think Sabrina over here has been hiding something about her family.
I thought your name was Cordelia.
Yeah, Sabrina's name is Cordelia.
I'm not hiding shit. You never asked me. And yeah, so now we know. So let's get on with it.
I still haven't heard you say it yet.
Oh my fucking god, I watched you while I was sleeping, okay?
That
It's
does
not weird.
not make it
It's only
more-
weird if you make it weird.
And how did you?
So you're like Santa Claus?
You're looking real good for Santa Claus.
What do you want me to tell you? I watched you. I did this thing and I saw what I saw.
So werewolf,
Yeah.
wish,
Yeah.
naturey thing,
I'm not even sure if Frankie knew.
rightish, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. And you,
Are a witch.
there we go. Great. Now we're all on board.
Okay.
Now what are we gonna call ourselves? Because the Scooby Gang is taken.
The important questions.
I'm a wish?
I got. I don't know.
Do we know what that means yet? Does Cordelia like have any idea of the specifics, or just like the general idea of it?
I just had it in my notes that she knows she's a wish. I don't know how she knows that particularly.
Okay.
Or what that.
One thing,
Huh.
actually, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how much Cordelia would know specifically about that. Um,
Well, she
I
just
I
just
haven't.
knows that I wasn't a born human. I was never born, maybe.
Uh,
Because there are no birth records.
well, and
Right,
I would
like a
think.
one of the jobs of the oh, go ahead. What was that?
said she's like a big Thumbelina. You came out of a flower or some shit, right? Like your mom cracked open like a walnut shell and you were inside, or I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Cordelia, one thing that you would know
I don't know.
is that one of the historic roles of the witches in this region are acting as intermediaries between the town and the primal forces in the woods. Um, and so, kind of what I'm picturing, and this can be corrected if anybody else would rather a different angle on it. I am imagining that whatever subversion of the fairy godmother produced Frankie, that the actual deliverer of Frankie was one of the Good Clan.
Oh, okay.
You know, taking on the more visual
Oh.
role of the fairy godmother. So it might very well have been your grandmother,
Yeah.
Cordelia. And if that's the case, then you may have, maybe the reason why you know that Frankie was created like as a construct or as a hollow is that you were there when Frankie was taken out of the woods to be taken to their new home.
That makes sense.
So
I like it.
you know that
Well,
the
then we.
Mhm.
I kind of figured I've probably been around since at least middle school,
Mhm.
which is say like somewhere around 5th or 6th grade, maybe.
Okay.
So she'd have been. I mean, if we're in the same class, she'd have been the same age I was at the time that it would happen.
Mhm.
So you were how old when you?
I don't know how old 5th and 6th grade is. It was a long time ago.
That
11
would
or
be like 10 or 11.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So at
Yeah.
that point, Cordelia would have been at that stage of
Already
learning
been
where you
training.
would have been. Um, there definitely would have been fundamentals being taught, but Cordelia wouldn't have been hands-on on some of these other things. So any exposure that Cordelia had to Frankie's origin would have been indirect.
Cool, cool.
Kind of the thing that, you know, theoretically you're not supposed to see, but it's also not as big of a secret. So, you know, like you go to your room and you look out the door, like that level of secret where, you know, at least you went to your room and that like that's enough for the adults.
Sure.
Gotcha.
So, and that could very well be information that Frankie has no awareness of at
No.
all.
Right.
Like, it's entirely possible that Frankie's first awareness is arriving at their new home, you know, waking up in their new bed.
I think Andy's kind of gonna be a bit uh like
But
past the initial like, whoa, like, okay, well, don't know what to do with that anxiety, the identity stuff yet. Put that in a box. Craig Johnson. My my mom's had some dealings with him. What do you mean that people have been disappearing? Is my mom like? Would she be at risk?
Well, anybody who it seems to be people who work for them, but there have been like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of them so far.
Jesus.
I know. But it sounds like from what you said that that they're going to have a meeting and discuss it over dinner at the other person's house. What was it, Mr. Ward?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duke Ward.
Duke Ward. Duke. What a pretentious name, Duke. Duke Ward. All right.
Should we crash that dinner?
We should totally crash that dinner.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like I don't know how. I don't know where he lives, but we should like sneak up and be all spy about it.
Well,
Why don't you guys come to my house?
he's one of the
Tell
wards. He
Mom
probably
we'll
lives in the cul-de-sac, right?
What was that, Frankie?
I said he's one of the wards, so he probably lives in the cul-de-sac, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
The wards would be in that gated northern part of town.
What did you say, Andy?
Oh, well, I can get you in the neighborhood. Like, we can go to my mom's house. We'll tell her we're studying for a project or something, and then we can, I don't know, crash the party. Still
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
What about you, Cordy?
Don't fucking call me Corey.
My bad, Sabrina.
I mean, it's only fair. You called him Cujo.
Well, I mean,
All right, Spellman.
Sabrina's pretty cool. Cujo was a rabid freaking dog.
hello.
He was very well behaved as a werewolf.
Sure.
But okay, yeah. So
Yeah, we could crash the party and ask him a few questions.
Well, I don't have a better plan, so sure.
okay, so the camera jumps from each of you as you are all like throwing in on this plan to crash the dinner party. And so the camera jumps like focusing on all of your faces. Frankie, you have just been given like, while Andy has like, okay, well, identity issues, I'm going to put that in a box. Frankie, you have been given something of a bombshell there. Do you also put it in a box, or when the camera turns to you as everybody else has said, yeah, I'm down for crashing the party? When the camera gets to Frankie, what's Frankie doing?
Frankie's texting her mom.
Oh,
I think we need to talk soon. Says.
Wait. Frankie didn't even know she was a
No,
No.
Frankie didn't know
witch. Oh,
that.
shit.
Yeah,
Aw, I feel kind of
and-
bad.
Andy doesn't know what she is. He is. So eat that too. And we didn't actually tell Andy what he is, because I don't know it. I just know he smells all wood-like and naturey. You know something, but I don't know what you know.
I was gonna say it's
Have access to
it's
the
confirmation for
various
things
lore.
that he's. What?
Cordelia would have access to the various lore and would be able to make a pinpoint identification if she feels like it.
And part of Andy's thing of like being able to put it in a box is also like it's a little bit of a shock, but it's not as much of a shock as Frankie's news, because Andy does have some weird family traditions that they inadvertently like eavesdropped on or picked up through the years. So
Wanna start getting to bed? I'll get that started. 'Cause my butt hurts. So any sweet stand up. Oh, everything hurts. Yeah.
Aw.
Oh,
My skin. Oh, my skin.
The organ that covers your entire body.
Yeah, basically, if it touches anything, it hurts. It's weird.
there's some way to do investigation to figure out like what kind of dinner party it's supposed to be, like whether crashing it or sneaking in while they're distracted would be.
I don't think it was actually gonna be like a party, right? It was just gonna be that. It was just gonna be Craig going over to dinner at Duke's house, right?
oh yes, exactly.
It's a dinner party of only a very technical sense.
The idea
Yeah,
of crashing it would be more of like would need to be more of a stealthy mission
Right.
than just like for
But teenagers showing up at the guy's house going, hey, we're here for the party.
right.
Right.
He'd be kind of like, excuse me?
yeah. I like it, going so far as to emphasize that Duke was rather coy about it all and had a smile on his face when he invited Craig over.
He's going to disappear him.
This is very much a one-on-one dinner.
So if I had a way to get a sympathetic token, I could watch them the way I watched these guys. But I don't think I'm gonna be able to fuck either Craig or Duke. So I don't know how else to get that token.
I don't know. You are a high school girl and you're a creepy
I
old
could try,
man.
if you guys want me to, I can try to seduce one of these men.
I was just thinking, like, when I was saying get us into the neighborhood, like, since they were meeting at his house, you know, we pretend to be studying and then, like, sneak out to go eavesdrop or steal a token or something.
On the bench, on the shelf underneath the bench, the foot of the bed, I think is the last pull-up. Is there one there?
Yep.
Oh. Sorry.
Right.
Ready? Go.
So Andy can get us into the neighborhood, is what you're saying, and then what's our plan?
Then we just walked over, right?
Well, this is the one
in the yard.
dinner.
The paper for this guy.
I put both of the papers in a drawer in there. Does it need to stay in the paper?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I put it in the bottom drawer. I didn't throw away any of your magic paper. You're welcome.
Magic paper.
So yeah, what are you guys thinking in terms of once you're in the neighborhood? There are a number of ways this can go. Some of which more dramatic than others.
Trying to come up with something here.
I think the more like teenage melodramatic route would be for us to attempt Mission Impossible style shenanigans. But like I don't know how I never really had anything established for like how entangled or how close like business wise that his mom is. But like in theory, maybe if they're close enough business associates or they've been negotiating some sort of multi-company contract, Andy could like pretend to drop off business papers for his mom.
Mm.
But I don't know how that would get us, like that gets us to the front door. I don't know how that would get.
Ooh, it would be.
That's fancy. I was just gonna go around to their back door and listen in. Maybe peer in through a window.
Not all of us have your hearing.
Well, you know, I've got pretty good senses. If you want to be real clever about it, you could bring a stethoscope.
Oh yeah. Where's your iPad? Hey, where's your iPad?
Yeah, okay, less trouble for the rest of us. Just tell us what you hear.
Come on. Time for bed.
No, I still got.
Or if you don't have a stethoscope, maybe like a red solo cup, but like, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Well, actually,
Someone else could like come in through a window or somewhere. Like infiltrate the house.
We could just walk in and demand answers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we are teenagers. We might just do that.
Threaten to bite them.
these are all options. I think in order to frame this discussion, I want us to jump to actually like in character, because this is a discussion you guys, your characters would be having. So what time are you guys congregating at Andy's mom's?
Well, the meeting, he said that they were going to meet for dinner. So like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm thinking we go fairly soon after school.
Sure.
Okay.
Then we can have this whole rigmarole discussion, you know, and be done with it by the time it's time to actually shit or get off the pot.
Sure.
One would hope.
Right. I mean, teenagers.
Okay. So I know that we've described your mom's house as being by the river, but Andy, go ahead and give us a little bit more of a description of what your mom's estate is like.
It's like
Does it have a gazebo and a bridge over the pool?
no, it's not quite that, because they're still kind of like the lower end of the top tier. Like they're definitely top tier. Like
She's laughing
security,
because my father has a house with a gazebo and a wooden bridge that they built over the pool.
And they live next to the river.
Next to the river, but they built the bridge over the pool, not over the river.
Okay, now I almost want to like ask Thundi to describe what Andy's mom's house is like.
Yeah, that house is ridiculous. It's like 6,000 square feet of a concrete house. Walls,
It's
ceiling,
awesome.
floors, all concrete.
Oh my goodness.
It's
That is awesome. But also I have a hard time picturing Faye living in a concrete house.
makes sense to
Not
me.
metal.
Yeah, not metal.
But you know, also this is an old logging community, so between the Fey heritage and the local industry, You probably have a wooden house.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a feeling there's a lot of like old wood paneling or whatever. You
Yeah.
know.
Very ornate, kind of that Art Nouveau sort of. Uh,
Yeah, I'm thinking it's partly like the like usual like public rooms are updated, but it was either inherited and not like couldn't quite afford to keep it up to the standard of um or they bought it as like a restoration project and it's not entirely finished or entirely restored or whatever. So parts of the house are like kind of old and creepy, and then other parts of the house are like, you know, swanky and
But there's a greenhouse in back.
I'm on board with this.
Yeah. With a theme of circles in the greenhouse. Teeth, if you will.
Yes. Loki has a mushroom ring out back.
Yep.
he could probably get away with having multiple mushroom rings just popping up all over the place, given your family's background.
Yeah. Well, and since like they do back up to the river, like the again, like the front of the like property is well kept, but the closer you get to the river, the more like overgrown, you know, the more it starts blending into the woods or the, you know,
Has that wild feel.
yeah.
That kind of untamed. Okay. So you guys will be meeting up there around 4:30. Given that, I imagine that your mom Andy is probably still at work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And previously, I think you in the dinner party scene, you had said that your aunt was there. Does your aunt live there as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And does she have pretty standard workday, or is she going to be hanging around the premises?
I'm gonna say just to throw a wrench in things that she usually has a standard work day, but today she's like she might arrive shortly after we do.
Okay. All right. So this is, but at the beginning of the meeting, when you guys arrive, you guys are going to have the run of the property, and it's nicer. Like with we haven't gotten too much into the good estate, the good clans property, but we know that it's fairly sizable in its own right. But Colin, this is swankier than when your family was at their peak.
I will go to the fridge and get a soda.
Nice.
They have name brand soda. I'm excited.
They have what?
Name brand soda.
Soda. Right, not Dr. Cola, no Dr. Thunder, none of that crap. Name brand soda. Whoever's a sponsor this week.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
The camera closes in on the name brand just for a moment, but
Yeah.
it feels ham-fisted.
Right.
Okay. So given that Colin is going to the fridge, I'm almost imagining you guys sitting around the dining room, unless somebody wants to propose an alternate place for the meeting.
I think initially, at least, I think at some point, it's going to occur to Andy that they have a study that would theoretically have business papers that might be relevant.
Okay.
Try it, but
All right. So you guys are
Initially-
going to be able to grab some snacks in the kitchen before heading to the study.
yeah, initially, she's very much operating on hospitality mode.
Sure. Are snacks allowed in the study?
Usually only during like big functions. Not supposed to be like casual snacks, but Andy's not really motivated to observe that rule.
Sure. Okay.
There were no promises made that the food would always stay out.
Sure. Okay. So you guys find yourselves in the study. You have a small supply of rather ritzy snacks and name brand soda as you sit down or pace or whatever your characters happen to be doing at that time as you conspire for tonight's events. So it's now once again in your guys' court.
So why don't we just, knock on the door and ask him what's going on?
Yeah, with like minutes and shit.
People lie sometimes, right?
I mean, but why would he need to lie to us?
This is some shady shit if he's been disappearing people. Like, do we want him to know that we're on to him?
Oh, he knows I'm on to him.
But will he care? I mean,
these types of people care. My mom works with them. They're weird, man.
Well, then what do you think we should do?
They're a cagey bunch. I think we should, I don't know, is there some way to do whatever you did in the woods, Cordelia? Or can you hear him? Like, how good's your hearing, Colin?
It's pretty good, but it depends on what standing outside the house, I doubt I'll be able to hear anything unless there's a window open.
How stealthy are you?
I mean,
Somebody goes to the front door and you go in the back.
I could try to climb up somewhere.
Well, I mean, he lives within walking distance, so.
well, maybe we should start walking that way, because if we wait much longer and trying to figure this out the way we're going, it's going to be over and done with. And we're going to miss our opportunity.
It's been 3 minutes. We're fine. It only takes another 6 to get there. We'll be good. What do you think? Not Cordy?
I think you should stick with calling her Spellman.
That was a good one. I liked it.
It was good.
Spellman.
It was nice
Really
and
good
nice
one.
and modern era. Yeah.
If I could get my hands on something important to this guy that I could watch him.
Oh, so if we went there right away and I got there beforehand, I could just break in and steal something, and you could use that.
Has to be something of personal significance. So, not just, you can just steal a knife.
Okay. So the way I hear it, throw a rock through a window, climb in, go upstairs, and grab something, like his computer, or like I don't know, family photos or something. Is that what you mean?
I think that would work. Yeah, I think that would work.
All right. Interesting.
I don't have to take it, right?
No, no, and you just
As
had to have
long as it gives
possession
back
of it.
to you.
So if Colin can do a smash and grab to get something that would work, that you could use that for the spell.
And if we're going to be reckless enough to do a smash and grab, we might as well go for the laptop because that would be relevant to our investigation anyway. And that would also be something that like a regular thief would steal.
Sounds good to me, although I don't know anything about computers, so we also have to figure that one out.
You know what a computer looks like, right?
Yes,
Okay. Grab
like a phone,
the bigger.
but bigger.
Okay. So the plan is a smash and grab, and if you're very, very lucky, maybe grabbing the a laptop or other like a desktop computer or something that would have, information.
Carrying out the monitor.
Yeah.
Just put them on there.
With a lot of nothing.
So, what if one of us goes to the front door while Colin is trying to sneak in somewhere else and says, "Hey, I'm looking for my dog. Have you seen a dog roaming around on your property?"
My dog, Colin.
Yeah, or we could at least like wait back, and if we think that he's like home or onto us, then we can launch distraction if we have to. But if we start with distraction, then he's gonna know one of our faces. He knows I don't have a dog.
Andy, you do
Doesn't
already
know
live
I
in the
don't have a
neighborhood,
dog.
so if you have a dog that could have gone missing,
Don't have a dog, but I can look. Let's just take some of Mom's business papers. I'll pretend I'm dropping something off if it comes to it.
okay.
Not gonna see through that ruse once he looks at the papers.
These are just like
Just like random business papers. Business, 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 the business.
Well, I think I got like a vague idea, like what at least official letterhead. How much time do we have? I'm gonna investigate my desk, the study desk.
This written on it in official letterhead, like, to whom it may concern. We have business to discuss.
Okay, Andy, what are you afraid of as you are trying to find the papers?
I am going to say that I am both like afraid of not finding something like appropriately, businessy.
Something that would like give you life.
Convincing. But I'm also afraid of finding something that's too convincing, like I've started to kind of get the idea that like there's some bad business deals going on, then that maybe, my aunt and my mom were involved. So I am also afraid that I'm going to find something that's just not,
Sure.
that's just, like nebulously afraid of something that like confirms that my families are the bad guy.
Sure.
I like the idea that you ditch it and just like get a bag of flaming food, like leave that on the doorstep as the distraction. Like, you know what? That's too much trouble. Go for the classics: dog poo and a bag, light it on fire, ring the doorbell.
Okay. Well, Andy, go ahead and mark experience. Um, it's a 6 on the die, and you have a -1 on cool. So as you're looking through some of the paperwork, you actually you find some that are directly relevant to the deal about the new high school construction.
Oh,
shit.
And the Morning Star industrial park that is going to be built in the southern part of Locksvale. And particularly, you find some paperwork that even at a quick glance, like Duke Ward is the brother of the mayor. And it is commonly understood that it's just one of those things that people conspicuously don't look into. The nature of business deals with Duke Ward and how that translates into municipal zoning and the various permits and licenses and all those things that his brother is able to lean into. And while the paperwork that you find doesn't spell that out in a way that you could put it in front of a judge, there is plausible deniability. The fact that this paperwork is in your mom's study and is actually like marked, she has manually made notes in the margins for revisions, and the sketchy parts are not marked out.
Bum, bum, bum.
That's the paperwork that you find.
Okay.
So, to your advantage, it is an ongoing deal that your mother and
And since there's notes, I could be like, I think my mom had some proposals for a thing. I don't know the specifics. I was just told you to like drop the thing off.
yes,
And I'm gonna, I don't know if this falls under like making a statement or what, but like just say that like it's been a while since he's done it, and dude might look a bit sideways at the kid who has been obviously like checked out and like emoting rebellious, if not actually being rebellious, like picking up the helpful errands again, but the helpful errands have occurred before in the past.
okay. Okay, so you have one possible cover story in your pocket, which Andy is both, I imagine, has a conflicted feeling about exactly how deep into this Andy could or should read. Colin, you might want to make your smash and grab fast and quiet so that Andy doesn't have a chance to actually read the documents that they are holding.
all I'm saying is we should also, if we have any, bring some spray paint because I think Duke Ward is sus would feel good on his house.
Sure. I imagine that Andy's mom's house is well provisioned enough that there's probably spray paint in the garage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seems like the kind of thing that would be absolutely perfect for Frankie to do.
Although for flavor, let's say that a lot of the spray paint is like retouching, like the like outside stuff or whatever, so it's like metallic and shiny and not usual like tagging spray paint.
Sure.
Like a hammered metal finish or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
What's Cordelia gonna do? Oh, there's pepper.
Wait for you to bring back the stuff. I can't go there because obviously Craig is going to be familiar with the good.
Because if they see you, you could get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking that he should only like Colin's gonna run a risk of him having like seeing him regardless, but I don't think this dude needs to see anybody else's faces except for Andy's if need be and Colin's.
Right. I don't think Frankie really needs to be there vandalizing shit, but that would.
Could be fun.
Could be.
these are tools that are being put in the tool bag. They don't necessarily need to be used. They're just an option once you get there.
Sure.
It's optional tool bags.
Okay. So are you guys gonna start the walk over to the Ward estate?
Yeah.
Okay. The Ward estate is where Andy's mom's house has that kind of refurbished like feel to it, like it's been renovated, but it has that oldness of the wood paneling that dates back, a century. Duke Ward's it has a grandiosity to it that Andy's mom's just doesn't quite have. Right. So it is a like an old wooden 4-story mansion, effectively. And as you guys get nearer to it, like most of the windows are stained glass, right?
Oh, Andy's gonna be just a little bit sad about destroying the pretty thing.
And the ornateness in the wood paneling, like this is some old stuff. The estate itself has a wall built around it, with a gate for the drive. The gate, I would say, actually, no, the gate would still be closed by default.
Does it have like a front and back gate? So like, does it also back up to the river? Could we follow the river easement to the back of the property?
Yes.
And then Andy could go around front like they're approaching like normal?
Yeah.
Also, does it have one of those second-story balconies?
Yes.
Sweet. I'm gonna
Of
climb
course
up to
it
that.
does. What pretentious mansion wouldn't have one of those?
Right.
That's
No,
exactly what I was thinking.
right. Well, like the walk around porch around the front, like covers half the house, and then you have the second story balcony that covers the other half.
Mm.
But yeah. So the walk through like along the river is going to be fairly pleasant. Well, I say fairly pleasant. It's still winter, so it's that you guys will be crunching through snow. I take the pleasant part back entirely. It is frigid cold, and you can see your breath leave your body. And no matter how well bulked up you are in your coats, like the wind just kind of gets through no matter what. There is snow cover, so like unless you are like literally walking through the mud of the river, you're going to be leaving footprints in the snow.
Mm.
The downside being that if you walk in the mud of the river, you've got freezing cold mud like all up in your legs.
And also to track
Yep.
through the house, in Colin's case, or to the front door, which would look odd in Andy's case.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
But the flip side is at least if we're not approaching from the road, then we don't have a bunch of neighbors who associate us all together.
and so there are spots along the river where it's pretty easy to get onto the estate. In these kind of places, the walls and the gates are as much show as anything else. There's a degree of actual security involved in it, but
It's a
anybody,
low crime.
what's that?
I was gonna say it's a low crime.
Right. Anybody that has it in their mind to burglarize the Duke estate is not going to be stopped by a wall.
Right.
Right. It's more the electronic security that they would have to be worried about.
I am going to do one thing to help myself here.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to turn my hoodie inside out, and I am going to put the hood up so that it covers my face partially, and so that any logos that would identify me by my hoodie on a camera are not facing outwards.
Sure. Well, and I'm going to put this on the table, and you can pick it up or leave it there as you see fit. Of all the characters here, you have Colin has the most natural built-in ability to disguise his identity.
Except it does not come with opposable thumbs, and that is a problem when stealing.
Fair enough. Okay.
These little fuckers, real important.
Fair enough. Okay. So you guys find yourselves at the back of the estate. It is now probably 5 o'clock, 5:15, 5:30. Somewhere in that range.
Dark.
What's that?
I said since it's winter, it's probably getting dark.
Yeah, very much so. And actually, yeah. Andy, one thing that happens that's somewhat unusual for you is that as you're walking, there's almost on the wind, you can hear what, like, the beating of drums. And it's distant and it's hard to put your finger on, but something from the woods is, making music. Cordelia, you aren't able to put your finger on it, but you can tell that Andy is hearing something, and you can almost hear it too, but it's just it's too distant. And in a truly unusual, or a mark of what makes us unusual, Colin, you don't hear it. You don't hear it's the noise. It's not actual noise.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So,
Oh boy.
and actually, Frankie,
Yes.
you kind of hear a little bit of the drum beat as well, but not quite as strongly as Andy does. And it's hard to place. It kind of drifts in with the wind, and then it drifts out. So you find yourselves at the back of Duke Ward's estate. there is a substantial amount of woods between the river and the backyard, the lavish backyard of the Ward estate.
Well, and here's where we could get some potential snafu because Andy's going to like point you in the right direction now that we're within sight line and start going back towards the main road so that when he approaches, it doesn't look weird.
Yes. So, let's see. And this is the kind of backyard, like there are multiple buildings in the backyard, right? There's one building that at one point would have been servants' quarters, and actually might still be. And in the now dark, like the low lights, there are pathways that have those, like little lights around them that have turned on in the dark. But it's generally,
Are we talking ground level lights or like street lamp lights?
Ground level. And the lights from inside the house are like shining through the stained glass. When I described the lavishness of this house, Duke Ward and David Ward still live in the same estate. So like arguably two of the most powerful people in the city live here.
Okay, and are there is this do they have guards and shit?
You're not seeing any.
Cool. I'm gonna go start walking in then.
Nice. Okay. So Andy's gonna be going around front. Cordelia and Frankie, what's your game plan while you're here? Are you hanging around in back and keeping an eye, or are you joining in the festivities? Are you going with Andy?
I think Frankie is going to linger conspicuously by the I assume the front gate, which leads toward the doors, where she can be seen from the door.
Okay.
So that when they open the door and find Andy there, they'll see that she has a friend waiting for her.
Okay.
And so they can't try anything nefarious without a witness.
That would also be good just in terms of coordinating when it's time to knock. And also Andy and Frankie have been friends for long enough that that's not going to ping any radar.
I mean, yeah. Practically Frankie's entire life, as far as Frankie knows.
Perhaps even more literally than was thought at the beginning of the session.
Yeah.
Okay, Cordelia. Do you go with the Andy group, or do you? Where does Cordelia go?
I think Cordelia's gonna hang back and just keep an eye on
Okay.
everything.
Are you keeping an eye in a mundane way, or are you going so far as to effectively put a magic eye in the sky around Colin?
That would probably be a good choice.
I can do that, huh?
Yeah. Yep. We've already established that when you scry on the individual, you also get a heightened degree of awareness of the things going on around them. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can communicate because you're in a trance.
Right.
But it would be the kind of thing where
the text if you needed to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Let's see. Your dark is +2, right?
Yes.
Me or her? No, her.
Cordelia.
Cordelia.
Okay. Well, I have good news. You gain experience.
Oh no.
Um.
How
So,
badly did I experience?
um, let's see. You got a 6.
Okay.
So if you have a string on Colin that you want to spend, that would give you a +1, which would put you into success territory.
Hmm. Yeah, I have 2 strings on Colin, so sure, I'll spend one.
Okay. All right. That puts you at a 7, which means that you get to choose one consequence for casting the hex. The first one, you suffer 1 harm. The second one, the hex has weird side effects. The third one, you trigger your darkest self.
Uh, I'm interested to see what the weird side effects would be, but I could take 1 harm and still be fine.
Okay.
Maybe I should take them.
I think that that's probably the smartest decision.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious to see what the weird effects would be.
Uh, uh, I'll just take the harm.
Okay. All right. So as you go into the trance, it's going to be very physically taxing. Is this the kind of thing where like your eyes start to bleed, or how does this manifest for Cordelia?
Yeah, maybe just like a good old like Stranger Things nosebleed, maybe just like a really bad headache and
Okay. Um, cool. And we had established that when you do this, you are basically doing the automatic writing thing. So
yeah,
you have a notebook out and you start
right.
writing things down. And the way I'm picturing it is that you've started writing things down before Colin has even completely left. So Colin, one of the last things you see, and this is probably the first time you've seen Cordelia actually like doing the spell stuff, is Cordelia just completely zoning out, a trickle of blood coming out of her nose as she's writing down notes in what that are indecipherable to you.
With her eyes rolled back into her head, so that
Yeah.
it's just the whites of her
Yeah.
eyes.
Oh yeah.
I like that one. Yeah.
Okay. So the camera, the most dramatic thing happening right now is Colin's attempt to break in, because Andy and Frankie are there in reserves, and Cordelia is there in reserves.
Sure.
Spotlight's on you, Colin.
All right. I'm gonna, I want to do a mixture of like heightened awareness, paying attention for people sneaking, and walking as if I belong there. Don't mind me. I'm just walking towards the house.
Take it till you make it.
Right. And then my goal once I get to the house is to climb up to that second story balcony and walk in, hopefully getting close to, if not into, the office area.
Sure. Okay. So mechanically, the way that would go, if you like using the heightened senses, let's go ahead and roll that. So what's your dark score?
-1.
-1. Okay. Okay, you gain experience. Congratulations.
Yay! I gain experience.
Looks like distraction is gonna be a go.
Well, that's basically just in terms of gaining extra benefit from the heightened senses. So if he had
Right.
succeeded on that, one of the questions that you would ask is, "What's the best route?" Or what's their secret weakness? And so on. So rather than getting the benefits of being Wolf Boy with heightened senses, there's still some dramatic flair there, and the camera would still, like highlight things that you're sensing, but it's not going to have a like
You now have low-key sensory processing disorder instead of
basically.
being able to prioritize.
Okay, so as you're crossing to the house, Colin, what are you most afraid of at this moment?
Being somebody spotting me and starting to like chase me down type scenario.
Okay. What's your cool?
Probably -1. Yeah, -1.
Okay. You gained another experience.
Woo! Yeah, getting some experience. I'm getting close. I only have 2 more to level again.
Okay. At that very moment, like as you start crossing into the yard and getting to the point of no return, where you are very visible. There's no way to get all the way to the house without exposing yourself, right?
Sure.
Out of one of the side buildings, there are 2 men that have apparently been drinking, that kind of walk out of the side door, and you can tell from a quick glance at them that they are part of the militia that has set up camp to the east of town.
Cool.
So they are unarmed, but they're wearing the uniform. It's kind of like
Sure.
paramilitary uniform. They haven't spotted you yet, but you are out in the open. So what do you do?
How far away from me are they?
They are maybe 20, 30 feet.
Okay, and are there any buildings right next to me? Any place where I could hide?
You could make a mad dash, like you are close enough to the main building that you could make a mad dash to it.
Yeah, but that's gonna attract attention. I'm just gonna have to go ahead and put on my biggest air of confidence and like walk to the main house with that confident like stride of I mean to be here. This is exactly where I belong. Anybody who would say otherwise is full of shit.
We should have given you like a toolbox in the garage or something.
Right, with just like the most teenager thing to do, to just have that complete unearned confidence. And that served me so well as a teenager.
Okay. Let's see. So short. If you want to have a toolbox, we can do a flashback on that.
Fuck yeah, I'll do a flashback for a toolbox. That sounds like the kind of thing we would have seen in the garage when we went for the spray paint.
Sure. Yeah. The person in your group with the highest dark is going to be +2. So we will see. Cordelia gains experience.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Why did I gain experience? What happened?
Because you rolled for a flashback.
I did?
Yeah, because you have the hide start.
Oh no.
And you have a +2. He rolled a what?
A 4.
I also have a +2 on dark.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Can multiple people roll on this? Like,
No.
they're gonna
No.
get more of a disadvantage.
Oh, that's cool.
That makes sense.
It
So
makes
yeah,
more
I'm
sense that
talking
she'd have thought of it.
confidence, pretending that wishing I had gone back to get a toolbox, pretending that I'm carrying one. Maybe in front where they wouldn't be able to see it exactly, that kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. The next step in this, because we already rolled for keeping your cool. I will let you. They at their like if your strategy is to walk forward with confidence. This
Yep.
teen with a hoodie turned inside out.
Right. Hey, they
So
could
it's
see
up.
know how inside out.
Dusk, they might not notice that part.
Yeah, hood up. Yeah.
One of them calls out with a bit of a drunken slur to their voice. Hey you.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, what's up? What I'm going to attempt to use hot in this interaction to not to seduce them, but to make them think that I'm that I'm the kind of person that they'd want to have there. But so that's what I'm gonna do with them, just play it straight and be like, yeah, what up? Yeah, man, I'm here for the thing. What's your problem?
Okay, we're gonna make this a turn someone on roll.
Sure.
And you have
Maybe they have a handy technique.
you have a +2 hot, right?
Yep. And I might even make them think that I'm here for the militia type thing.
Sure. Okay, so on the die it's a 6 with a +2. That puts you at 7. So
8.
Let's see. Okay. Give me a little bit more information about what you're saying, like how you're
Well,
going
he
about
just said, hey, you, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And I have to get more input from him before I know exactly where I'm going with this.
Sure.
But yeah, if they're like, what are you here for? I'm be like, I'm here for the meeting. They told me to go check out the main house first, but I assume it's gonna be back there, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's basically how that's going to play out. What are you doing? And yeah. So their response, I'm going to go ahead and say that they get a little bit embarrassed and act a little awkward.
Okay. Hey man, I'm looking forward to it though. What are your names? And I will reach out and be a little manly with the handshakes and a little extra, a little extra flex as I do that, just a teensy bit, and smile. What are your names? Yeah. Oh, good to meet you. Good to meet you. Well, I'll see you inside here in a little bit.
So their names are Austin and Jeremiah.
Austin and Jeremiah. Good names. Good, strong, hearty names.
Austin looks at you and where's your I haven't seen you at the meetings. Where's your uniform, man?
Well, they just brought me in today. I don't have a uniform yet. I don't have any of the gear. They told me to go to the main house and get set up. So, but then I'm supposed to go back. I'm more a friend of theirs and stuff. They're bringing me in on this. So,
You're a friend of the wards?
Freelance.
yeah. Kind of. I'm not really from around here, family friend type thing. So, but they're bringing me in on this. I'm excited about it.
The Austin and Jeremiah look at each other, look at you, you're exuding charm right now, and saying that the wards are bringing you in on this. They look at each other. There's almost a giggle as they put the connection between you and Ward.
Oh no.
And like, hey man, it's we're doing the active I know that they've been trying to recruit. You're a little young, but I guess that's Ward's taste. So yeah, if you get a chance, I know that if you have connections with Mr. Ward, that you might be able to get us some of the good stuff. We'll be in the back house.
Sounds good. I'll see you later.
If he lets you, get out in time.
Right.
And they proceed back to the house.
I like the idea. I like the idea that my character just didn't get any of the sexual innuendo there. Just none of it. Just keeps on going with his day. I'm just a super spy. Yeah.
Okay. So you're now at the house.
Speaking of himself as a hot young man, he doesn't consider the idea that he would be somebody's boy toy.
Love it.
Okay. So you're now at the house. I'm going to say, let's see, what would be the best role for this? I'm going to co-opt the rules for Runaway, even though you're breaking into a place.
Sure.
So this is volatile. So you get your volatile is +2, right?
Yep.
Jesus.
Is that a 3 total?
That's a 3. Puts you at a 5.
Well, the good news is 1 away from another level up. The bad news is this is gonna suck.
Sure. So there's one area in which this will suck that I'm putting up my sleeve for a little bit. What your character doesn't realize, but that I have yet to choose exactly how I will play this, is that there are in fact security cameras.
Okay.
And in the process of being the hot guy for Austin and Jeremiah, the hoodie had come down, and in order to see the luxurious hair, they get those beautiful camera angles, and so you are definitely going to be viewed on camera.
Okay.
The other thing is that you're going to make more.
Interaction looks fairly innocuous so far.
What's that?
I said at least their interaction looks fairly innocuous so far since you rolled with the I'm not being sneaky.
Yeah.
Yep.
But your plan was to climb up to the balcony and get in that way, right? Right.
Yeah.
So in the process of climbing up, there's one of those like the little crisscross wooden things that are built so that vines can grow.
The trellis.
The what?
Trellis.
Yes. Yes,
It's called a trellis.
the trellis is the obvious way to go, and you'll be able to get your way most of the way up,
You know, or
but it's going to
use the
break.
stairs.
Whoops.
And just goes shattering onto the ground. We'll get back to that in just a moment. I'm going to jump to Andy and Frankie.
For them to help.
Andy, you're at the front, or near the front, ready to move into position if needed. That drumming that I mentioned has intensified. It almost feels like it's coming from somewhere within a stone's throw of you. And you feel yourself being pulled at it.
Oh,
Um,
towards the woods or towards the house?
and not really in a physical direction. You're being pulled inside.
Okay.
At this point, the drumming is close enough that you realize it is coming from inside of you. I think I lost everybody. If you guys can hear me, type in chat.
Yeah. Yay, Ron.
Hey, he's muted. Unmute.
Okay, unmuted.
There you go.
Sorry
So
about
the
that.
last thing you said was the drumming is coming from inside of you.
Yeah.
And that's when you froze.
Yes.
So
So
it was very dramatic timing.
it was very weird on my end because you all just froze too. Like here I'm talking about this altered state of consciousness and Andy being pulled away from the world, and suddenly I found myself with the world just staying still.
Yeah.
Creepy.
So yeah, Andy, you feel yourself being pulled inward by this drumming. Do you resist it and try to stay focused on the house, or do you go with it?
I'm going to resist it.
Okay.
So I'm guessing that would be a keep my cool.
Yep. What are you most afraid of at this moment?
That I will either miss my cue if they need me as a distraction, or that we will somehow ping on the radar of like not supposed to be there. Even though up until this point I'm gonna say like I was fake smoking a joint, which like and loitering around, which wouldn't be totally out of place. You know, especially since I'm, talking with Frankie, but.
Okay. Your cold is -1, so that puts you at an 8. You can resist the pull of the drums right now, but if you do, it will come back stronger later.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. So the camera sees you two talking and fake smoking a joint as the strumming becomes deeply intense, which will then jump back to Cordelia, who is writing these notes. And Cordelia, you are aware that Colin has been captured on video, quite distinctly. Is it something that you break the trance over, or like from the trance, what you can see so far is that there's nothing coming directly at.
I think I'm just gonna keep watching.
Okay.
Well,
So, Colin, the part of the estate where Duke Ward's bedroom would be, the lights are off. So, and this is about the time your heightened senses will let you know that there is a car that is pulling up from the front, and Andy and Frankie will see this. That matches the kind of engine that Craig has. So
Sure.
Craig is arriving for dinner.
I'm in the bedroom.
Yes.
Okay. Real quick. I know the lights are off
Mm-hmm.
in this room, but is there enough light from other sources into the room that it's not pitch black?
Yeah.
Or is it completely pitch black?
No, there's enough light that your heightened senses will be able to let you.
Do I see anything of Duke Ward's here that looks personal?
Let's see. The answer is going to be yes, but I'm going to have you gaze into the abyss to see how high quality that yes is.
Dude, I don't gaze into the abyss for shit. All right, sure. Let's roll it and see if I can
You level
deal
up?
with a -2. Yeah, I'll just level up. It'll be perfect. And then I'll be able to get bathed in the moonlight thing, and then I'll be able to really see into the abyss a bunch.
Nice. Is that actually what you're going to be doing? Is that the one that you're going with?
It's either that or spirit armor. We'll see. What did I roll? Is it a 3 again?
It's a 4 on the die. So you have
2
-1?
total.
Yes.
Or -1, right. So 3 total. Yeah, I got a 3 again.
Pretty good.
Well, I leveled up. So that's cool.
Okay.
Nothing,
Right, just nothing here.
nothing.
Nothing particularly personal.
You take the one thing in the room that's not his.
Okay. So if you had scored really well on this, I would have let you find like a laptop or some other like deeply personal and highly significant thing.
Sure.
That's also useful to our thingy.
Right. As is, you will, like, you're in his bedroom, right? And while it is very lavish and the wood paneling is, dialed up to 11 and all these things, and maybe it'll be hard to determine what is actually valuable to him. Like, do you have it? What are you thinking?
Okay. You know how I failed? And I get to put points into something?
Uh-huh.
I get to do the level up into the thing that gives me when I'm bathed in moonlight, so whenever it's night, I can use dark as 3 instead of my normal score.
Okay.
And then I want to use my heightened senses to see if there's a sex toy that smells like him. And if that's the case, then I know personal.
You're gonna take his flashlight. I'm not doing it.
You're totally doing the spell with his flashlight. Hey, it might be a dildo. You don't know.
Hey, it might give you an unexpected boost. Sex is supposedly powerful, like sex and blood, or
That's true.
But you have to roll a dark 3 and see if I get more than fucking 3 this time.
Sure. Let me just double check something real quick.
Although in some ways it would definitely, like, depending on how you exit, reinforce the dude's assumptions.
Right? I
That's
do
a good
like
point.
that image of the werewolf like sprinting out of there with the big dildo in hand, just woo, like a big floppy rubber one.
Okay, so it was another 4 on the die.
But that's a 7.
That's a 7. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah. Let's see.
They're not gonna press charges because they're just gonna think that the dude has like a hot young puppy crush.
Puppy crush.
Puppy crush, yeah.
Oh God.
Okay, so yeah, I will be a generous MC. I will let you choose what sex toy you find. Um,
All right. Well, here's what I'm thinking. The smellier the better, right? Because that's easy to find.
uh-huh.
So it'll have to smell like him specifically. So it'll have to be his toy. And
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say that this man has some anal beads lying around that are his for his
Oh.
pleasure.
Okay. You got it.
Just
Uh,
wow.
and he was looking forward to the dinner meeting, so you know,
Right.
it's fresh.
He and Craig might have gone at it, but no beads for them.
Looking for the always later, like I know that we're right here.
They were right here. Actually, what would be really funny is if I find just like a box of his toys and just take the whole box.
Yes, I will let you take the whole box.
One of these will work.
Okay.
You have at least enough self-preservation to be like, I shouldn't handle these directly. I'm just gonna take the container.
Right, the whole box.
Sure.
And if I see those two guys outside, I'll be like, yeah, it's gonna be a special night. Actually, I'll be oblivious. Just like,
Yeah, they won't know it's in the box. So.
what's in the box? Nothing at all.
Just throw it to the front. Take off.
Okay. So one more runaway roll to escape with the goods.
Sure. Do it.
You got it.
Good.
What was the roll?
It is a 9 on the die plus your volatile gives you a 10 plus.
Double digits? Are you kidding me? That's impossible.
So you're able to grab the box, and your original way up is gone, but like you just like jump down, or do you find another way down?
Right. I'll superhero land it.
Cool. So you're able to get the box and then just confidently walk back to the woods with this box full of dildos.
Box full of dildos. There might be a fake pussy in there. You never know.
No, there probably is. And
Definitely
Cordelia.
nipple clamp. This guy seems like a nipple clamp kind of guy.
Um,
How do you laughing about that?
Actually, I'll give one more opportunity for this. Cordelia, I will let you, since you're already gazing into the abyss, I will let you roll one more time. 7.
What was it for?
You're watching this. You're
Right.
watching Eye in the Sky style.
And
And
I'm
you
writing
see-
it all down too.
You see Colin grabbing this box, like with the anal beads being very distinctly visible, and you know, like he's playing it cool, but he knows that he's been spotted, and he wants to get out as quickly as he can. This is definitely the easiest thing to identify as deeply personal, so he is going for the obvious target.
Yeah, it doesn't get much more deeply personal than anal beads.
Cordelia, what you see is that there is a cell phone under one of the pillows in the bed.
Okay.
Not anything that's very visible. And it doesn't have as much of his scent on it as like it didn't ping Colin's radar, but you recognize that the cell phone is there.
Okay.
So with that knowledge, you have the choice of breaking your trance and informing Colin as he is gathering up the sex toys, or playing it safe and continuing to watch as he exits.
How much do you think that he's going to be okay exiting without something else coming up that you need to warn him for?
So if I break the trance, I could just text him.
Yes. And
Like-
pray to God that it's on silence.
Oh.
Vibrate.
Yeah.
No, it just starts loudly playing the most obnoxious.
Who let the dogs out?
Right.
Because I'm a werewolf. See?
Right. I got that. That was great.
I don't know. Coming from her, I was thinking more like Peter Gabriel's "In Your Eyes."
I don't know, man. I don't want to. I don't think I want to risk it. I'm just gonna let him bring the sex toys.
Sure. I mean, some of them might have extra information.
I know, but you might not.
It's a valid choice because
Valid choice.
you know for a fact that these sex toys are gonna work.
Right.
You know that
They're
personal
deeply
because they're deep in his person.
deep in his person.
Oh.
Uh,
So yeah, and really, as far as this goes, technically, according to the mechanics, when you use an item, a sympathetic token, it's destroyed as part of the ceremony. You have
Right.
you have multiple shots at this.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna just let her continue to bring me the.
I wonder if she could do one bead at a time.
Oh.
just
Beautiful.
remember, the larger bead is going to work better than the little beads.
Could have more.
Okay.
Or surface contact.
Right.
It's
Well,
almost 10 o'clock, so I'm gonna wrap this up pretty quickly here. For the terms of tonight's pacing, we're not going to see the meeting between Duke Ward and Craig Johnson. We're going to end on Andy and Frankie getting the text that it's all clear and that Colin has made it back. And we're also, I'm imagining that the single best shot to end the
Episode.
the episode, or at least I might do like one more shot after this, but the last shot that we see of you guys is Cordelia being like Colin having this box of toys and presenting it to Cordelia with I would presume with the amount of obliviousness that Colin has.
Yeah.
Is this like almost taunting or?
I really like the idea that the last shot, and you can read to this, is me walking back out all confident, like tripping, spilling the box a little bit, and the two guys from earlier taking a smoke break and put the toys back in the box after they get back up and keep going, and then just being like, I want none of this, and going back inside.
Bonus
Yeah.
point, you're like heading past an outbuilding, so it totally looks like you're setting up an out-of-house tryst.
Right.
Sure, I am game with that that image.
Oh my God. One of them looks at the other and goes, "What do you think he's doing?" The other goes, "I don't know, and I'm not gonna ask."
Colin's going to be a special recruit. I do want to know though, Cordelia, when you are like, it's one thing to have seen it from the astral plane. When Colin presents this box full of sex toys, how does Cordelia respond?
I think just
Will these work? Dump them out.
I think just like pissed off that she has to do that like it's gonna work and she's mad about it. Like,
Because she's gonna have to touch those things.
but like fuck.
Ugh.
It might
Man.
even work like
Right.
extra well because sex, but
Okay, and so that's the camera is going to capture that response, that degree of like pragmatism jutting up against, just indignation.
Right.
And then the camera will swoop up into the darkness of the night sky, and we'll call that session.
Sounds
Nice.
good.
That was good.
It's fun.
All right. Well,
Oh,
I'm
my.
the last few sessions, I sitting down, I was like hyped up by the end and getting a little exhausted. This, having been standing up the entire time, is a little bit closer to the old experience of my body is ready to say goodnight. So,
All right.
safe travels
Good
on your
night.
trip, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody.
See you guys later.
See ya.
Yeah.